I had the entrepreneurial bug from a young age. I was about 5 years old when I started my first business in my humble small town on the East Coast where I grew up. And as I got older, I had many different hobbies. I kind of enjoyed working on cars from a young age. I would detail friends and neighbors' cars to make side money. I often thought to myself, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I got older, but I had a lot of different options. Went to school for something that was not related to alien car care whatsoever. Actually went to school for environmental science and wanted to work for DNR or national parks or the U.S. Forest Service. Did that for a couple years. And when I hit about, I'd say 25, I saw an opportunity that was kind of rare. I saw the coming up in my searches while I was looking around for different jobs and career paths, and I was kind of in between. I'd gotten laid off from a different job, and I was really needing to make some decisions about where I wanted to go with the future. I had a new, brand new wife at the time, and who still is my wife, my amazing wife, who is also my business partner. Thank the Lord, because she is so helpful in books and behind the scenes stuff that people don't even see. It is amazing what she contributes to this business. But I had thought long and hard and really came to the conclusion that I could turn a hobby into a job, and I wasn't sure how to do it. And I saw this opportunity online when I was looking around for a franchise for automobile restoration and reconditioning. I looked this opportunity up. I did a little more research on it, and the company, which I wore a shirt tonight to commemorate that, was MARS. Mobile Appearance Reconditioning Service was the acronym. I was really intrigued by this. I didn't know much about it at the time. I did some more research, come to find out they were a franchise that was all around the nation. And like I said, I was kind of doing some of this on the side and making a little bit of side money as a detailer, just on my own things, doing some buffing, doing some minor paint touch-up, and very, very basic skills. And always enjoyed that. And I always enjoyed the gratification that you get when you do a job with your hands and you see the reward of something that you get to watch it get better. You enjoy something working with your hands, and you get to see the fruit of your labor where something gets nicer or cleaner or removes scratches or fix a dent or whatever. And I didn't have all those skills at the time. I was learning little things, but I did always have that eye for detail. And when I came across this opportunity, I was like, that kind of works for me. Let me dig a little bit more into that. And so after a lot of prayer, consulting with older, wiser people, I decided to go for it. This franchise opportunity offered a 2-week schooling, a large package deal of all sorts of different tools and paintbrushes and heat guns and spray guns and paintless dent repair tools and things that I didn't even know what they were, upholstery repair tools. And I thought, okay, we're gonna give this a go. And I wasn't really sure of if I was gonna be able to make a dime. Started out after 2 weeks of training. I actually stayed an extra week because I was so hungry to learn what they were teaching me. My head was spinning with everything. I mean, just swirling with new ideas, confusion. How was I gonna implement all this and make money doing it? And the whole prompting and idea was that you were gonna go to car lots and present the idea and try to figure out if wholesale car lots could use your services. And that's exactly what I did. And I hit the ground running when I came back. I spent the first 2 weeks remodeling my new trailer and getting that ready. I took an empty shell of a trailer and I formulated it into having nice workbenches, cabinets, tools, all set up on the walls. And to that day, anybody who's seen our business and our trailer driving around, you can still see that. It's been modified and rehabbed a couple times. Things started to happen quickly. I landed my first account the very first week I went out, and within a week I had 3 accounts. And that meant that I would show up there every week. I would look over their car lot. I would figure out what they needed. I would look in the interior, the exterior, figure out if I could do touch-ups, scratches, buff some paint, do a small bumper blend, all of which I was not very good at yet. Keep in mind, I had been training for 3 weeks on some of these services. Some of them I started as a hobby, turned it into a profession, but a lot of them I was really wet behind the ears, so to speak. I was young and pretty immature at all of the scope of what owning a business meant. I didn't have a whole lot of experience under my belt yet, and the car lot managers knew it. And they knew that a young gun coming in there trying to earn their business, they can talk them down on the pricing quite a bit. So I did what I could do. I hustled. I'm talking perseverance, long days and long nights. I'm talking redo city. If any of you don't know what a redo is, it's when you got to redo something. Throughout that process, I was growing. And growing is always difficult. Growing involves pain. Growing involves being steadfast. Growing involves endurance, a lot of endurance through the ups and downs. And I told myself I was going to give this a good 5 years, and I was going to make it work, and we'd reevaluate. And I had a new SBA loan on the line, and I refinanced my house in case we didn't make any money for a second mortgage to have some floating income during that time. So when you want to talk about risk, I know all about it. I've lived there, been there, bought the t-shirt, done that, had months where I could barely pay the mortgage. We basically, through this process, within a couple years, we had multiple lots, and I had regular work, and I was going every single week, every single Monday through Friday, to a different car lot every day. And it was exciting. It was an exciting time of growth. It was very, I was learning about myself. I didn't even know what I was capable of, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of that time where you look in the mirror, and when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, you're like, can I even do this? Am I worthy to do this? Am I good enough? You know, all those questions, doubt came over me. But I felt good about the fact that I was able to provide for my family and for the house, and that was always a rewarding feeling. And I was very, very grateful that God had given me the ability to do these things, and the tenacity, the wherewithal to stay after it. We kept at it, and I was talking with my wife one time, and I could no longer handle my workload, and it was time I started hiring a couple people to be able to help if I wanted to grow at all. I was working 9, 10 to 12-hour days. Probably summer help at first is all we hired, and then I brought a couple kids that were going back to college, and I could use them for the summer, and they were a tremendous help. And come September, when it was time for them to go back to college, I really missed that. I was probably 27 years old at the time, 28 years old, and I decided it's time I bring on a full-time employee. And I didn't know if I really had no policies, I had no shop yet. All I had was my home pole barn and just a shop at home with just a pole barn and a trailer on the road. And it was a very difficult transition for a couple years. We were trying to bring cars back and forth in inclement weather. We were bringing cars from the car lot to try to paint a bumper when it was snowy and crummy outside and wet and rainy. And it was challenging, to say the least. I was reaching absolute burnout. we thought, we're either going to burn completely out and get out of this business altogether and sell everything, or we're going to try to find a place that we're able to have a bigger shop, have an office. We didn't have any of that. We were working out of our home with a pole barn, and my office was my desk in my living room. And so the challenges that started to bring, being able to conduct a work interview, hire somebody, train newbies that were coming on board, and you have to figure out how to do all that. It started to make more and more sense that commercial property was going to be the way to go. We had gotten pretty good at the services, but the location, our reputation was always going to be super limited. We were really hitting a ceiling, so to speak. And so when we found this place after looking at like 6 or 7 different places, the price was right through another series of what I would say miracles. God opened some doors, and incredible doors he opened. Financially, he opened some doors through the connections that we made. The landowner at the time had a land contract with somebody, and they apparently defaulted on it, and it had went back on the market for sale. And we saw it, and our commercial real estate person said, "Why don't you check this out?" So we did, and I wasn't that impressed, and I had no idea what I was talking about because commercially it made more sense than any other location we had looked at. My finite mind, I didn't understand. I thought I wanted to be out near Gull Lake, where more of our customers were, Richland area, kind of where our home is. We live out in the country, and we thought, well, it'd be nice to have a close commute to go home. But the reality is we didn't have the exposure. We never would have had the exposure that we have to customers that are coming from Portage and Schoolcraft and Kalamazoo and Battle Creek, and all the people that can now find us here in this main corridor, kind of a crossroads, if you will, of a lot of different towns. And I just didn't see that at the time. I didn't really like this location, to be honest with you, at all. Physically, the property itself didn't have the shop and the building that we were looking for. It had a very primitive office and a primitive shop, which was still better than working at home, but we knew we would have a lot of work to do. It was a fixer-upper, if you will. And so after we looked at this place and started realizing what we had was room to grow. And as we built a name for ourselves, grow is exactly what we did. So when we bought this property, it was nothing. It was a very humble little office that frankly smelled like a smoky truck stop, for lack of a better description, because essentially that's what it was. There was actually a truck stop that was here. It was kind of a dispatch center for a trucking facility, so they had a very large parking lot, a lot of room, which turned out to be a huge blessing, and a very primitive shop with very poor lighting and very poor insulation that we could barely fit 4 cars into, total. We had a lot of renovating and sweat equity to do to make this place look like something special. So we added a 8x4 plywood sign out front and got it stickered up on the 8x4 plywood sign with a piece of metal and 2 wooden telephone poles for our very first sign. We found a way to basically insulate and have spray foam insulation into our very primitive shop and get the heater working in there again. We didn't even have that when we first started. I found 45 lights on Craigslist, and I bought all them and brought them back here and rented a lift and hand wired every single light at night with the help of some amazing people like my father-in-law, who has helped me in every project I've ever taken on, and absolutely love that guy. We gutted our office. It was fairly dingy, for lack of a better word. It was kind of dingy and gross with old carpeting and old 70s ceiling tiles and outgrowing that building and that shop that we could barely park 4 cars in, where we were trying to do all of our services. We outgrew it almost immediately, and we knew that although we never ever wanted to do detailing, it was a gateway to every other service that we provide. We had to build a detail shop. We didn't even have a bay to do detailing in. If anybody watching this video knows anything about cross-contamination, you can't paint in an area where you have silicone products or buffing compounds going on a car. The cross-contamination will terribly contaminate your clear coat. So we decided that we were going to build a detail bay. Just a nice 20 by 30 bay where we could park a car, open up the doors and work in, and attach it to the shop that we had. So that became, within 1 year of having this property, we started building that. 5 or 6 years ago, when we were remodeling everything in the grounds, we needed to think about where eventually we were going to take the next step. We had no room, and my office consisted of a 1960s school desk in the old building with a filing cabinet that my wife was crunched into the corner doing all of our book work on and all of the office work on. And you can imagine, after days and days and years of doing this, my monthly financial meeting with my wife was starting to have a little more tension in the air, and we were both getting sore backs and tired of the space and tripping over each other. We were literally working in a 10-foot by 12-foot office, both of us in that space. The writing was on the wall. At some point, if we were going to continue in this direction, we were going to have to take the plunge. And by that I mean a whole new shop, all new offices, and a new lobby/showroom where customers could come in and consult, talk about what they wanted, what their needs were, and have a nice lobby to do that in. And having a showroom, having a clean room where you could do ceramic coatings and expel film, which we weren't even doing at that time, none of this would have been possible. And we started thinking about what kind of layout did we want? 1 story, 2 story, how big, how long, how wide. And one of the persons that has been a huge mentor to me, a fellow by the name of Devin in Montana. I can't name everybody I'm so grateful for, but Devin has truly inspired me, especially in the construction of this building and when at times I wanted to quit and give up throughout this process, hiring and building our team, services we've added. He has been a huge mentor, and I decided I liked his layout and I was going to try to mimic it on a much smaller scale. We decided that if we're going to do this building, we're going to do it right. So we sat down with some people after I drew up some plans and thought, okay, this is about the approximate size we're looking for, so many feet by so many long, and we want to be able to park 10 to 15 cars inside, which was a massive accomplishment after what we've had, and just a huge step in growth, but also providing job security for us in a time that we would often, as we grew in employees, we wouldn't have work for them in the winter. So this was a big deal when we're going to build this shop. And so we decided, let's make our new offices upstairs to save space. Let's have a really well-insulated stick-built building rather than metal, because it saved costs there. And we met with about 5 or 6 different builders, and they put together bids for us, and everything kept funneling back to this one builder. And through decisions that were told, prices that were told to us, estimating ranges that were told to us, our builder, who we ended up using, Jim Roberts Construction, who tragically and suddenly is no longer with us anymore, actually passed away 4 months after completing this project. We are so grateful to him and his team and to God that he got this finished when he did, and with the skill set and the ability and the love for the trade. He clearly loved what he did, and he poured that talent and that ability and design into this building, into the concrete, into the walls, and he would check on every step of the process. And when we finally decided on using him and using that, that was after months of counsel and months of meeting with different architects and builders and getting bids and meeting with the local Comstock Township here. We had no idea what was coming in the year 2020. A cease and halt order came through from the government to stop all, even construction projects in the year 2020. Frustration and delay is an understatement. We had no idea what was coming, as nobody did, and we were really confused with the direction to take and how long this was going to delay our plans. The grand opening was about 6 months delayed, but nonetheless, we got it done, and we were counting down the days, and we were so excited to move into this new building. It has been amazing. It's truly blown open the doors for opportunity. We feel it attracts more talent now. If someone wants to work here and they see the growth and the process and the environment in which they can work, better lighting, better tools, better equipment, better flooring, better environment, more dust-free, you name it. We have all that now. We have the ability to grow well into the future. So we're super pumped about that. Love this new building, love the opportunities and the business that it's brought in, because everybody in town that drives by has seen what's going up. And we are thrilled to have many people that come in and say, I was driving by, I saw this monstrosity being built. What are you doing? Got a lot of new customers that way, hopefully lifelong customers. We're super pumped about that. The time that people have put into us and given us, and my wife and I, we're eternally grateful for. Can I just say in this video, if you don't hear one other thing, that what you see today in Alien Car Care and all of its awesomeness, then we are so blessed that we've been able to do some of this stuff. Can I just say that this is because of the people that God has put in my life. It is not because of me.